I was checking through it.
I know.
Oh, God, it's a lot.
What do you, what's my problem?
Yeah, I think we got some. What are we starting?
Okay, we call today's meeting of the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners to order. And if we could, well, we'll start off with an invocation by Commissioner Rosenstein Wilkins.
Let us pray. Dear God, we come to you today in a spirit of thanksgiving for keeping us as we press on with this COVID pandemic. But Lord, this is not the first storm in our lives, and we know that our faith in you will heal the land. We ask you to look out for the sick and afflicted in this county. We know that many people are hurting, but with our faith, we have hope. So Lord, please bless this county and all of its employees so that we will realize that brighter day ahead that we are seeking. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Rosenstein. Next is the Pledge of Allegiance. Marcia, could you lead us in that, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Brown,
Excuse.
Commissioner Seer,
Here.
Commissioner Hubby Wright,
Here.
Vice Chair Hughes,
Here.
Commissioner Laring,
Here.
Commissioner Nash,
Here.
Commissioner Pago,
Present.
Chair Skolnick,
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yeah.
8 present.
Thank you. All right. The next item is approval of the agenda. I entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda and it's been supported. Are there any comments, corrections? Problems with that? If not, we'll just do a voice vote on that. All those in favor of the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Next item, I need a motion to approve the special meeting minutes of February 3rd, 2022.
Second.
Have a motion, it's been seconded. Are there any comments or corrections? Anybody notice anything on that? If not, we'll do a voice vote on that too. All those in favor of the special meeting minutes of February 3rd, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those are opposed. We now have time set aside for public comment on an agenda item. I have a couple here. We'll do these. Is there anything?
Nobody online.
No. Okay, first is Darlene DeHooey. Oh, up, yeah, Darlene.
It's not an agenda item.
Oh, it's not.
Goes at the end.
Yes.
Okay. And Vanderbilt, I'm not sure.
I don't think mine's an agenda.
Okay, cool. We can wait till the end. Thank you. All right, next is, we have some presentations. Kathy Moore, our Public Health Director, is going to bring us up to date. It'll be nice when you don't have to do this.
It will
anymore.
be, won't it? We're hopefully doing so. God bless you.
Thank you. Kathy Moore, Public Health Director. I am passing out a more updated report. I just updated it today. And I wanted to share the more updated because the numbers every day in every way, we are getting better and better. So the numbers are looking better. We have recorded a downward trend for the last 3 weeks. And so if we can go to the first slide, I know there's another presentation scheduled. Oh, I can go myself. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh. Thank you. Okay, so this slide just shows the trend over the pandemic. And if you look towards the right, we have just a steady decline. And so we are averaging about 55 cases per day now. The next slide is the CDC data tracker and the transmission rates. And I show this to show that most of the 3,000 counties in the United States is still considered high transmission, but we are seeing more and more sprinkles of blue and yellow, which is moderate to low, and that's an indication that things are getting better. The community transmission is still considered high, and that is high because 1 out of 1,000 has more than 1 out of 1,000 has COVID. Muskegon County, we are now at 16.9% positivity rate and 296 cases per 100,000 population. This slide is really just the graphic depiction of the chart above. So the cases per 100,000 population, a steady decline for Muskegon County in the blue, the regional in the red, and Michigan overall in the green. This one just gives a different picture, and we never thought this would cross over to 3 calendar years. But just to show, 2022 is the blue, and it started out higher than most, and we are now at the 55.4 cases per day as indicated. So that's page 6. So page 7. Page 7 is an updated vaccine breakthrough cases, and the state updates this every 2 to 3 weeks. It really depends. When there's a lot of cases, they do fall behind on this. The vaccine breakthrough for Muskegon County residents, 6,312. This is not a surprise. We do know that the more people who are vaccinated, the more breakthrough cases we're going to see. And also, as the time between the vaccination wanes or passes, then the vaccine is going to wane, the efficacy. So this is not a surprise. And this graph actually follows the trend of the community infections. So breakthrough is proportionate.
Kathy,
Yes.
what percentage of, let me think of the total hospitalizations are breakthrough cases?
We do have,
Yeah.
so this is just overall, and here it's 0.149 of all the people vaccinated. So that's of the 95,000 vaccinated, 0.149% were hospitalized. But then we have another one under hospitalizations of all the people hospitalized, what percentage are vaccine breakthrough. So the page, page 8 is the demographic chart of the graph we showed, the chart we showed on page 7. Hospitalizations overall, the state of Michigan, 12% of the patients in the hospital are COVID-19 positive. For the region, 15% of all the patients in the regional hospitals are COVID-19 positive. The chart in the middle is specific to Mercy Health Muskegon, which is our only hospital here in Muskegon County. As of today, 45 adults in the hospital confirmed with COVID. Their leadership will tell you that these are not people COVID ill, but they are hospitalized, and so about half of them are actually COVID ill, and then the other half are COVID positive, but not necessarily hospitalized because of COVID. This would be the same with the DeVos Children's Hospital. As of today, 16 pediatric cases, 6 of those 16 on ICU, 6 on ventilator, and 10 youth reported to DeVos yesterday with COVID-like symptoms. The next slide is the hospitalization specific to Muskegon County. So when we say that 15% of the patients are COVID positive, it doesn't mean they're Muskegon County residents. So this page is specific to Muskegon County residents. And these are just the numbers of admissions daily. And we know that, that could change on the hour because people are discharged and admitted on a daily basis. But Commissioner Hovey, right? If we look at the chart at the bottom, of the total 462 inpatients, and these are just Muskegon County residents, since November 1st of 2021, 53% or 245 were not COVID vaccinated. 168 or 36.4% were breakthrough cases. 14 of the residents had initiated the vaccine, but they hadn't completed. Like they didn't receive their second dose. And some of that is because maybe there wasn't enough time, or they just, chose not to, or didn't have time to. 35 say that they are vaccinated but have no record. And if they told us that they were not, we included it as not COVID vaccinated. The no record is not uncommon. There are some providers that are still yet to record this in the MICR data system. The federal programs like the VA, they do not automatically record the vaccines into the MICR system, and other federal programs do not. And then we have a sprinkle who received vaccines out of the state, at least that's what they report, and we don't have a record, so we can't count that. And then of the 462 hospitalized since November, 88 or 19% resulted in death. These are hospital patient census, and this is through the 7th. The state updates this every week, but it should maybe be updated by later today or tomorrow. So this is really last week's number. And it shows your overall census. So the numbers, the percentages in the red are not COVID, all COVID patients. It's the number, or it's the percentage of beds that's occupied. So Mercy Health Muskegon, as of 2/7, with 57 COVID patients, 80% of their beds were occupied and 18 were on ICU. And Children's DeVos, 22 pediatric patients, COVID pediatric patients, with 68% occupied for the overall. The next graph is deaths, COVID-19 deaths. And again, it continues to follow age and comorbidity for the most part. We have seen some younger numbers, younger deaths. And again, not necessarily COVID as the cause, but COVID was listed as one of the causes. And so there could be 4 causes of death on the death certificate, and that would be counted as a COVID death. This slide compares the total cases by month, which is the top chart, with the total deaths by month, just to compare number of cases. So large number of cases, November of 2020, 4,855 cases, resulted in 101 recorded deaths. Then the comparison, November of 2021, 4,373 cases resulted in 52 deaths for November, but a lot of the November deaths were Delta infections, and a lot of those, 25 to be exact, of the deaths in December were from November infections or diagnoses. And then the month of January is over, and so we reported a record high of 6,927 cases, and the majority, about 80% of those, were Omicron cases. And the number of deaths in comparison to last November is lower at 37. So again, that is an indication that things are improving. This slide just shows that vaccination by age group, a very high percentage. Muskegon County, actually, for age group 40 and above, we surpass the state vaccination rates for age 40 and above. And then we fall behind on the age groups under 40. And right now, the percentages are just increasing at fractions of a percent. The demand is down, and most of the demand are for booster doses at this time. This slide is basically the final slide, and it just shows the Black population for Muskegon County compared to the vaccination coverage for Black population Michigan average. And we follow the same trend as the overall population, age 40 and above. The percentage of vaccinated Black population is higher than the state average. And then just like the rest of the population, we fall behind age 39 and under. And that's really the final slide. Everybody knows about the 5 days isolation and or 5-day quarantine. And we're moving towards just education and communication about what individuals can do themselves to keep themselves safe. That's it. Yes.
Yeah, I got a bag at Rotary that had 5 masks in it, and then a little card that said for testing sites, go to Mascot, Muskegon. And I'm not sure that everybody would think of going to Mascot, Muskegon to find out where to get vaccinated or tested. So what are we doing to educate the public about more, so we can get a higher vaccination rate and higher?
Yep, so much is being done. And, again, with our dollars, we try not to duplicate or compete with the programs that's out there. So we know that the large pharmacies, Meijer, Walgreens, CVS, offer the vaccines, and they have lots of commercials and advertisements. So we're not trying to take business away from them. Economic footprint, if they can get people in there to get vaccines, they'll probably purchase some other things too. We have educational radio ads. We've partnered with NAACP, the Muskegon Community Health Project, Access Health, Health West, of course, and just a plethora of things, honestly. And then the state. So the state also has commercials, and you go to the state site and you tell the state where you live, and then they will tell you where these things, masks and vaccines, are available.
Okay, anybody, I have a couple of questions, Kathy.
Yes.
One is, for those who already have had a booster, is the second booster advisory, and if so, how long afterwards?
The CDC had authorized an additional dose for individuals whose doctor declared them as eligible. So then they would also be eligible for a booster, which people call the 4th dose. But that is actually 100% with your physician recommendation.
Okay. Then this Omicron was a mutated version of the original virus.
Yes.
Okay, so it could happen again?
Absolutely. So it's very common for viruses to mutate over time. And so the Omicron is not the surprise. The Delta would probably be the surprise, because normally with each mutation, the virus becomes less and less severe. So it's very possible that it would happen again. We are all embracing the next normal, which means that COVID-19 will never go away. And so we can't say we're going to do this until it goes away, because it's going to be endemic here.
Okay, so is it, I shouldn't be asking these questions anymore, but I mean, it's like the normal flu never went away.
That's correct. And every year there's a different strand of flu.
Right, so It's that.
Yeah, we'll probably still see it. Like we're still seeing, EEE and some other communicable diseases on a regular but not massive basis.
Okay, then one last question. I've been thinking about this. Sometimes I get kind of bogged down in national news more than. But in China, they've made this huge effort to keep people isolated. But sooner or later, we can't isolate everybody.
That's correct.
So they're wide open for this.
Right, and so just like, there's over 500 communicable diseases. And it all, these diseases impact the body very differently. So we do encourage people to, visit their doctor regularly and understand their body limitations, and then take the necessary precautions to protect themselves and their loved ones. So it's kind of like, walking down a dark alley. If you can't bite, don't go down there. No. If you know your limitations, don't choose that alley. Basically.
Anybody else got anything for Kathy except the dark alley thing? Kathy, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right, we've got one more presentation. I think at the last meeting, this was supposed to happen, and it didn't. We had a problem. That our departments have been working through this lean, just to operate in a lean kind of business fashion. So we have the company that's providing that training, Lean Advisors. Is it Kevin Klump?
Correct, yes.
Who is not, he's here virtually.
Yes.
Kevin, are you there?
You're on mute, Kevin.
He's gonna unmute.
Kevin, unmute. Is he still muted?
She's working on it right now.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you
Hear you
now.
now.
Thank you, everybody, for letting me be part of your meeting. It's fascinating.
Hang on a second.
Wait.
Okay, keep speaking so we can see if this is louder.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Keep
go ahead.
speaking. Kevin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me still?
Yes.
That's better, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate the chance to talk to you a little bit. I'm sorry we had a few confusions last meeting and I wasn't able to make it here, but I'm very honored to be part of it this time, and just sharing any information I can about it. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm glad to be part of this. What I wanted to share briefly is I get asked a lot of times, what is lean and why is it used outside of manufacturing, with people usually know about it. And lean is very simple as a process using specialized tools to find out what in your process is actually in the process, and separate out what is very useful and what is wasteful. And the second part of that I get asked a lot of times is, why isn't it just for manufacturing? It started in manufacturing, but in a manufacturing area, it's easy to find the waste. You can walk out in a manufacturing area and pick it up, look at it, see it being done. But in businesses and in governments, they're finding the tools work fantastic. And it's basically looking at how do you identify all the steps in your process and determine what's really happening there, and using these special lean tools and make it come alive to where we see, why are we doing this step? Let's investigate this further. And some of the things that we find improvements on are finding all outdated or unnecessary forms that we generate to the community. And then what happens if the community fills those out and they're wrong? So either somebody in the community has to repeat filling those out, and that doesn't make them very happy, or somebody within the government has to redo it for them. It takes up a lot of time. The lean process very quickly also finds what is outdated, what is unnecessary, what is redundancy. It typically will either reduce or sustain cost increases from budgets by taking waste out and focusing on what you really need to be doing, what you want to be doing. And it's also an extremely powerful communications tool throughout departments, but also for the community and getting closer. In Kathy's area that you spoke, when we did the value stream mapping in Kathy's area, they really came close to the community. They saw what the community saw within their departments. They looked at a lot of areas, how they could look at things differently. They put themselves in the picture of the community. And we found lots of opportunities for improvements, and that they're actually working on those right now.
Kevin, do you want
Is he still
to
there?
talk a little bit about the HR process that you're looking at?
Yes, right now we're looking at moving forward with an HR process. And what this will be is developing a very precise methodology of how to make the new hire or replacement for positions within Muskegon County not only very efficient, very effective, very thoughtful as far as it's actually looking at what is needed for the job, what is needed from the community, how to get input from everybody very quickly, but also focus on how do you know exactly this is what the job is needed, not necessarily just, well, we had this before, so let's fill it again. Or what's happening a lot of times in communities all around the country is, you know, what qualities do we really need for the job? Because we can't ask for the moon because there's not that many people available. And we have to make sure we're actually asking what the job needs. And the lean process is very precise in developing a methodology that helps you get to that job very quickly. And that's what we'll be working on in the HR department, and also allowing them to create an avenue of communications into other departments that'll improve their process and the department's communications back into the HR department.
Thank you. Any questions for Kevin?
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's interesting, the forms update and upgrade in the health department area. It's I had actually an individual this past week just share with me an experience that he had filling out a form online, filled out the whole form, and actually took the form down to whatever department. I don't remember which one it was, but when he arrived there, he would basically say, "Oh, that's the wrong form. You got to start over again." And he wasn't real happy, and I think that happens on a somewhat regular basis. So,
Anybody else? Well,
This is sort of half tongue in cheek, but it'd be good for you to do some stuff at state level so that there isn't so much paperwork. I know that's a big issue with the Health West and their staffing.
I totally agree with you.
anybody else? Kevin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. The next item on the agenda is committee and board reports. The first committee to report is Community Development and Strategic Planning, and the chair is still ill. So Commissioner Hughes.
The Community Development Strategic Planning Committee met on February 10th, 2022, and I move CDSP 22/02-07 and CDSP 22/02-08.
Support. Okay, we have a.
I would like to mention that the resolution for Black History Month is the one submitted by Commissioner Nash with the amendments that were noted. You all have that in your packet. We had two, and this was the one that we asked to move forward. So there is, yes.
I think both of them are on there. This one's on this committee and then the other one is on the other committee, so we'll have to choose one, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash, for that. Is there any, we've got two items. Is there anybody want to discuss these?
We have a motion. We have a motion.
Whole bunch more.
Wait a minute,
Turn the
there was a
page.
motion that somebody supported?
I make the motion.
I made the motion, you seconded.
Yeah, so the motion, these are all on the floor. Charles. Oh, yes, Charles.
Well, I had a slight correction. It's just a couple typos. In the paragraph on the civil side, from Dr. Garrison.
Can you speak up? Charles, I can't hear you.
Your mic.
On the paragraph that's talking about Dr. Garrison and the Civil Site Museum.
Mhm.
I'd like to have the word county added after Muskegon in
Yeah.
the first sentence. And in the last sentence, strike the word in out of that. Instead of having many in residents, just many residents.
So Charles, what do you want to add the county?
Muskegon County Civil Society.
It says annually honor Black War veterans of Muskegon County. It just says Muskegon, but it should say Muskegon County.
Okay, right in the middle. of the
Okay.
paragraph.
Yes.
Oh, I got it.
Are you
I
okay with that?
Yes, I'm happy with it.
Okay, so we have friendly amendment. Change that, a couple of minor issues, yes. So,
I've got a couple significant people that I'd like to add. I know the resolution has many people, but I'd like to make an amendment to add Dr. Benjamin Carson, as he was a pioneer in neurosurgery, the first to perform a separation of conjoined twins at the back of the head, also a professor of oncology at Johns Hopkins Medical Institute. So I'd like to have the middle paragraph where it has contributions to the economic, educational, political, artistic, athletic, literary, add medical, and then add Dr. Benjamin Carson.
So what page is that?
Oh, on the first page,
In the middle.
it says at the bottom, or let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraph has a bunch of different people's names. And then it says economic, educational, political. I'd like to add medical and add Dr. Benjamin Carson.
well,
He was a professor of, he was the first and youngest, what's that?
No, so you're making, you want to amend the motion.
I would like to amend the resolution to add medical in that paragraph and also add Dr. Benjamin Carson's name as a pioneer of neurosurgery, oncology, pediatric surgery.
Okay. Marcia,
Yeah, has anyone else ever heard of this person?
Oh, come
Yeah.
on.
Yes.
He also
Okay.
ran for president in 2016.
That guy.
Yeah, he's got,
Yeah,
quite-
all right.
him and his wife have an institute also that they.
Charles, you wrote this.
Right, well, we made the motions and then, right now, I just think that we should leave it the way it is, besides the small corrections, because we all had time to do this, and I think it should have been done earlier, so we can all look up and view and do all those different things, so I just rather leave it the way it is.
Okay, so I'm not sure
I'm-
where I go with this.
I'm making a motion to add Dr. Ben Carson in that paragraph and also medical.
So I already have a motion.
We have a motion on the
So we can't
floor.
have a Motion to amend,
Second,
so I'd like to add Ben Carson and Crispus Attucks to that list.
And who?
Crispus Attucks, the first person to die in the American Revolutionary War.
All right, so we have a motion to amend the motion, and that's been supported, and we can have some discussion on it. I'm totally against this personally. That's my comment. Anybody else?
I would agree.
I,
I mean, we just go on and on and on.
right, I mean, we've had a week to look at this, and you could have put it out so we could just set the names and look them up and see who they are. All of a sudden, we're getting names at the last minute. But anyway, there's a motion, it's been supported, it's legal. Anybody else have anything to say? So we vote on the amendment. Correct. All right, roll call on the amendment, please.
Commissioner Heavy Wright,
No.
Vice Chair Hughes,
No,
Commissioner Laring,
Yes,
Commissioner Nash,
No,
Commissioner Pago,
wait a minute, there was 2 amendments. Charles made an
We're voting on
amendment.
yours.
Yours was never, there was never a motion, it was never supported.
no, we're voting on the amendment that
I'm,
I made, and Melinda seconded.
Correct.
exactly.
okay, but Charles made an amendment first to add those errors. So I thought we were voting on that amendment. Or is it all one amendment in one?
So yeah, so
There were several different things talked about. Is it all one amendment?
No.
The way I have it is it's a motion to amend by Commissioner Laring, supported by Commissioner Peo. That is the vote that's being taken.
Okay. Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Chair Skolnick,
if you vote no, it'll be a tie, it'll die.
No.
4 yes, 4 no.
Okay, so that's it. Then we'll vote, and now we're voting on the original motion.
Actually, it was just a friendly amendment and Commissioner Hughes had accepted.
Okay,
But if we need a formal motion.
so now we're going back to the original motion to accept the resolution.
Right.
As amended.
As amended with
With
the.
the- with the typo.
And it was just to add county.
Just to add county and strike the word "and" in the last sentence.
Just typos. Okay, roll call, please.
All right. Vice Chair Hughes
Yes.
on both? Oh, I'm sorry. This is for the typos. Sorry.
Wait, is this for Pecos?
No, the typos were a friendly amendment. We're voting on the resolution.
So is this both,
So you're-
This.
Right, no.
both of them at the same
You're right,
time?
Yes.
Like we, so 07 and 08,
Oh,
and 08 is with the friendly amendment?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay,
oh, okay.
Vice Chair Hughes
Yes.
on both?
Yes.
Commissioner Laring
Yes.
on both?
What's the both? I'm not.
One and
I
two,
don't put-
items 1 and 2.
Items 1 and 2.
07 and 08.
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes on 7 and yes on 8.
Commissioner Wilkins
Yes.
on both?
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes, on both.
Chair Skolnick,
Yes, on both.
8 yes on both.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That completes my report.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll move to item B, which is the report of the Courts and Public Safety Committee chaired by Commissioner.
You,
Here it is. Sorry, it starts on the first page. Courts and Public Safety met on February 8th, 2022, and I move CPS 22/02-08 through CPS 22/02-14. However, there has been a change. I was notified just before this meeting on CPS 22/02-12 that the request from the sheriff to approve to enter into a 60-month lease with the board approved leasing provider for investigative vehicle at a cost of $6,500 annually has actually changed to 2 years. Is the sheriff or other sheriff in here to give us an update on those changes, please?
I don't know what the update would be. I'm sorry, Under Sheriff Ken Sanford. We had 3 proposals or 3 estimates that were given to us, 12-month, 24, and 60. We originally looked at the 60, and the purpose of that was to keep it in under our budget. We had I think a line item budget of 7,500 under the old WEMET agreement, and we wanted to keep it under that. So we went with the 60-month. And then after the conversation at the committee level, we decided that we would go with the 24-month instead of the 60.
What are the details of the 24-month? I don't believe I've actually seen those.
So the 24-month is $771 a month, which totals $9,257 a year. And then at the end of that 24 months, we have the opportunity to get a new vehicle.
What was the, could you,
Nine?
let me ask a question.
Yeah. go ahead, Susan.
What were the details before this? Was this,
The 60 month.
yep,
So the 60 month would have kept us under budget. About 6,500 at 529 a month.
Madam Chair, I'm gonna second your motions because we didn't have a second at all. We're discussing it, so we shouldn't.
Oh,
that's
yes,
right,
thank
yeah,
you.
because she explained it.
So I just want to make sure that I'm clear because did the motion include the change to the 2-year?
No, I said, no, actually, I guess I kind of stopped in the middle of, I moved to them and then I asked, when I said there has been a change to CPS 22/02-12, and I said, can the sheriff or the undersheriff explain that change? I was notified of this just before the meeting.
Yeah, so what I'm asking, I suppose, is your motion to approve that item as changed, as revised?
So it actually technically is not revised on this agenda, so.
No, I know that.
No,
That's why I'm
it's 60,
asking the
yeah.
question.
Yeah, I guess I'll look to your advice then,
Yeah.
because.
Well, you certainly could make the motion to approve it as revised to a 2-year lease, not exceeding 9,000.
257.
257 annually, if that's the motion you'd like to make.
Well, I actually have reservations on this because I don't have all the details in front of me to make that decision, so I'd like to go further.
Could I
Tell
make a
me, should we
motion?
exclude number 12 and postpone that?
I would make a motion to table that if that's what's needed. I'm not sure how we do this. Like,
So,
If I could remind you that our agreement with the state police will be coming up soon. So if we amend it or if we postpone this till next full board.
What is
when we
that
come March
date?
8th,
What is that date, Ken?
The next full board,
No, the date that the contract,
I believe it's still this month. I think it's in this. Yeah,
it's this
it's very
week.
soon, yeah. So what,
Well, I'm seconding these motions, but I would suggest that we accept the changes because number one, it's 24 months, which I think our concern was the 6 to 5 years.
Mhm.
And then second of all, it's still under the normal budget of the 11,000 that we were paying previously.
that's correct.
So we're still saving some money,
Yes.
even though we're going down in time frame.
Commissioner Seer.
Why I'm just curious, why we're trying to go for the 5-year deal, now we're at 2. What was the thought process behind that?
Well, I think the main thought process was all the commissioners that brought issues forward.
Originally, it was 12 months and then
Committee.
it changed to 60 months.
Correct.
And 60 months just being a long term for a
Right.
lease for a vehicle. And then we had questions on like the
Oh,
lease buyout amount and a lot of different
The
questions.
length of the lease was the problem. The car would become
Obsolete.
way before 5 years. Is
That was one of the
concern?
issues.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years
Yes.
is gone, so,
Okay.
and it was concerned about further costs after that. Within the 60.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily opposed to this. I just like to see all the details of the contract before I vote on something. And I thought that we were going to have that before this meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I have the contracts in front of me, or the quotes, they're not contracts, or quotes.
Right. One of the questions I had asked was if it included gap insurance coverage.
Gas insurance
Gap?
coverage.
Yeah.
GA
Gap.
gap.
I don't believe so, no.
Because I know before as a commissioner, we had come to one of the meetings and there was one of the vehicles that was involved in an accident and I had to ask the county for like $8,000 and $9,000 to cover that gap because it did not include gap coverage. Gap coverage typically is like a $500 add-on that covers the term of the lease. And then if there's a gap, when you drive off a vehicle off the lot, the depreciation value, you get in an accident, what you owe on it and what the value is a lot different. So that was an unnecessary expense of $8,000, $9,000 that could have been prevented by having gap coverage.
Yeah, and I believe this topic has come up many times when we purchase vehicles, and maybe the administration can help me, but I thought that with the county being self-insured, that it didn't make sense. So I don't know if that's the answer.
The gap coverage actually is like, it's just extra auto coverage insurance.
Right, that always comes up, and I think HR who runs the coverage for that may have a better explanation than I do, but it's something we always consider, whether it's worth it or not. That's just, I guess we have to evaluate that, bring that back to you sometime to evaluate.
I'd like to just make a comment on that. We're dealing with a county that over the years has bought hundreds of cars. We're not individuals. We're worried about an $8,000 payoff. If we spent $500 on every vehicle we bought, we could buy a dozen new cars. So in the course of a year, yeah, a car or two might get wrecked. Some years they don't. I don't know, just the police cars, something could happen to them.
The majority of them don't.
The majority don't. So I'm just saying, if you spend $500 every time we bought a car, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, I don't know, just, if it was my personal car, would I buy it? Maybe. But the county shouldn't spend $500 every time they buy a vehicle just to cover the possibility of maybe having an accident. We're self-insured. Anyway, my opinion. So
So to answer your question, I don't believe that it does.
Can we get that contract sent over, please, so I can review it?
They were sent to me. You're gonna have to get them from wherever they came from. Is that Angie?
I've asked several times. I like to see contracts before I vote on them. We're, as commissioners, financially, that's our job, is to be fiduciary administrators. I can't consciously vote for anything financial unless I can review the contract.
That's a lot of contracts, Commissioner.
That's our job. That's what we're voted for. We're managing the taxpayers' money. Anyway, so I guess the amendment to CPS 22/02-12 is going to read to approve the sheriff's office to enter into a 24-month lease with the board approved leasing provider for an investigative vehicle at a cost of $9,257 annually. Authorize the board chair to sign the lease agreement once finalized. I'm not going to read each motion because we've already went all of these in committee. So it's going to be CPS 22/02-08 through CPS 22/02-14.
We already support those.
Yep.
okay, so the motions, all the motions been made. Has anybody, has there been support?
Is this 12 we're talking about now?
Just all of them.
It's all of them.
Oh,
Charles
Yeah.
motioned one.
Okay, who supported it?
Yeah, Charles did.
Charles did. Okay, so these are all, now we're looking at all the motions from the courts and public safety. Marcia?
Yeah, I'd like to speak to 14 about the resolution to honor Black History Month. If we pass this, it would be an embarrassment to this commission. The person that's on this resolution is somebody who was a slave owner, is a terrible person. And we should not be honoring that person for Black History Month. We already have a resolution, which is much more appropriate. And I don't think we should be voting for this. I'm surprised it hasn't been withdrawn. We already preferred the other one. We don't need two.
That was the first original resolution that was submitted for Black History Month. That's why it's on there.
Right, right. I know we.
And I have a comment on this, so, and I looked that up, because when I originally read this, I did not know who this William Ellison was, but I supported it to get this process started. Then I read about Ellison, and he owned 63 Black slaves. He supported the Confederacy, offered his slaves up as part of the army, and made significant financial contributions to the Confederacy. And why we would include him in honor of Black History Month makes absolutely no sense to me. And I think it's insulting.
Right.
So
Well,
I
you
would
seconded
urge that you vote no on item 14.
As would I.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this, please.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes on 3 and 6, no on the rest.
I'm sorry, they go from 8 to 14.
I'm sorry. So on my sheet, they're labeled a little different. So yes on 10 and yes on number 13, no on the rest.
Commissioner Nash,
No on 14, yes on the rest.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes on 8, no on 9, yes on 10, yes on 11, yes on 12. I still want to see the contract, please. Yes on 13 and yes on 14.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on 8, no on 9, yes on 10, yes on 11, yes on 12, yes on 13, no on 14.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
No on 14, yes on the rest.
Vice Chair Hughes,
No on 12 and no on 14, yes on the rest.
Chair Skolnick,
No on 14, yes on the rest.
8 yes on 8, 6 yes, 2 no on 9, 8 yes on 10, 8 yes on 11, 7 yes, 1 no on 12, 8 yes on 13, 1 yes, 7 no on 14.
Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
Number 14.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She did all, 2 yes, sorry, 2 yes, 6 no on 14. Sorry.
Okay. Commissioner Pego, Chair Pego, is that?
And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. The next report is the Human Services Committee chaired by Commissioner Hovey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Human Services Committee met on February 8th, 2022, and I move HS 22/02-01 to authorize public health to award the drinking water lab analysis to a contract to trace analysis for the period of April 1, 22 to March 31, 23, with 2 one-year renewal options and no effect on the county general fund. Number 2, for the second one is HS 22/02-02 to approve adjusting the fiscal year 22 senior millage award for the Living Word Church from 96,250 to 115,500 to authorize the designated senior millage grants administrator to proceed with the administration of the program and authorize public health to amend the fiscal year senior millage fund 1060 budgeted expenditures accordingly.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, we have two motions. Motions have been made, they've been supported. Are there any discussions of items 07 and 08 under transportation?
No.
We have to vote on
You
human
have to vote on
services.
HS first.
Human services, we have to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, my brain has moved ahead. I'm sorry, 01 and 02 under human services. Anybody? Yes, Charles.
I just wanted to say I was glad to see the approval for the senior millage funds. I heard from some seniors and that program seems to be doing well.
Welcome. Anybody else? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one, please.
Sorry.
Roll call on human services.
Yes. Commissioner Nash,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes, on both.
Vice Chair Hughes,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes on both.
Chair Skolnick,
Yes, on both.
8 yes on both.
Okay. Does that complete the report? Commissioner Lovey?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
All right, next up is the Transportation Committee. Commissioner Wilkins is vice chair and the chair of that committee is absent.
Thank you,
Commissioner Wilkins,
Mr.
please.
Okay. The Transportation Committee met on February 10th, 2022, and I move TR 220207 and TR 22028.
Support.
Okay, we have 2 motions for transportation, 07 and 08. Is there any comments, corrections, discussion, questions? Anything? I see none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pago,
No on 07, yes on 08.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes on both?
Vice Chair Hughes,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes, I'm okay.
Chair Skolnick.
Yes on both.
7 yes, 1 no on 7, 8 yes on 8.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Final committee report is Ways and Means, and the chair of that committee is Commissioner Seer.
Thank you, Chair Skolnick. The Ways and Means Committee met on February 8th, 2022, and I move on items WM 22/02-06, 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 and 16.
Support. Okay, we have the motions that motions have been made and supported. Are there any questions, comments on any of these motions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Seer,
No on 9, yes on the rest.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes on all.
Vice Chair Hughes,
No on 5, yes on everything else.
there is no 5.
Okay, 10. They're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so yeah.
I know.
10.
It's not hard.
It
Okay,
is.
Commissioner Laring,
No on 07, 08, and 14. Yes on the rest.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes on 1, 4, 5, 6, 7.
No, that's a second.
Oh, that's right. The same thing Susie did. Our new software, sorry. Yes on 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 15. And no on, or actually, yes on 7, sorry. And that's no on 8. And no on 13. And no on 14. Give me no on 8, 13, and 14, is that correct?
correct, and yes on the rest.
Yes.
Chair Skolnick.
Yes on every single one.
All right, 8 on 6, 8 yes on 6. 7 yes, 1 no on 7, 6 yes, 2 no on 8. 7 yes, 1 no on 9, 7 yes, 1 no on 10. 8 yes on 11, 8 yes on 12. 7 yes, 1 no on 13, 6 yes, 2 no on 14. 8 yes on 15, 8 yes on 16.
Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Oh, I didn't give you a vote on 16 for mine. It was no.
7 yes, 1 no on 16.
I didn't realize it carried to the next page.
Ms. Seer, are you sure?
I believe that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, the next item would be chairman's report and any committee liaison reports. I'll do the chairman's report first. I need a motion to appoint Councilman Derek Collins to the Land Bank Fast Track Authority for a 3-year term from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024. This is the city of Muskegon Heights law, and they have a
Support.
Okay, we have a motion that's been supported. Is there any discussion, just as a comment? We had a land bank meeting this morning, and even though he wasn't appointed, he was there. So, I don't know if we need a roll call on this one or not, but we'll do it.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hughes,
Yes,
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Chair Skolnick,
Yes,
8 yes.
great. Okay, and are there any committee liaison appointments from any of the commissioners, from any of the committees that you serve on? Anybody?
I can just, I said it in committee meeting, but courts and public safety, I said on the WEMAT board also, and the reason why we had to renew that or start a new lease was because of the state of Michigan no longer will allow an employee that's not paid for and employed by the state of Michigan to drive those vehicles. So each county has their own, employees that are driving those vehicles. So now they are responsible for that. So that's why that lease did get brought forth to our county at this time.
I just thought it was interesting. Commissioner Sear and I attended the land bank meeting at 8:30 this morning, and then a meeting when that was over, we went over to the senior activities committee, and Commissioner Hovey Wright joined us. So if anybody thinks we don't do anything,
Yeah. Been busy all day.
fill up the whole day. And if nobody else has anything, we'll move on to the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item here is the Achievement of Excellence Financial Reporting. This is found on page 44 of 67. If I may, I read it for those in the audience. Government finance officers associated with the United States and Canada has awarded a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the County of Muskegon for its annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2020. The report has been judged by the impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, which includes demonstrating constructive spirit of a full disclosure, to clearly communicate its financial story, and motive potential users and users groups to read the report. So to the finance department here at the county, I applaud them for their work that they've done over the past year.
It's excellent.
Very good.
It's really good. Yay.
Item B.
Come a long ways.
that was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was,
They're thorough, so it takes a while to get that letter out.
Yeah.
Item B here, to accept the FAA's ARPA concession relief airport rescue grant offer grant number 326007105022022 in the amount of $16,901, provide a rent and concession fee relief funds for concessionaires at the Muskegon County Airport, and to authorize the county administrator and corporate counsel to sign the agreement.
Okay,
I need a motion.
we have.
So moved.
We have a motion that's been supported for this ARPA concessions relief. Grant offer. Yes.
I was just wondering, is this money that will go to the county, or will this go to the vendor at the airport?
Indirectly, but Bob, Bay, go ahead.
Bob Lukens, Community Development Director. This is funding that goes to the concessionaires for rent, so it will eventually come to the county.
Okay, thank you.
Revenue.
Anybody else? If not, we'll do a roll call on this one too, please.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hughes,
Yes,
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
No.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
yes.
Chair Skolnick,
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no.
Thank you. The second item for consideration, move to approve the award of the highest rated vendor, Guidehouse, Inc., contingent to the final negotiation of hourly rates upon corporate counsel's review of the agreement documents, and further to authorize staff to engage this assistance on an as-needed basis over the course of the ARPA program of established rates for anticipated costs not to exceed 1% of the award, $330,000, and to authorize the chair to sign the agreement.
so moved.
Well, okay,
Support.
you're gonna be the, well. Can you make the motion?
No, Susan.
You made the motion.
I made the motion.
Okay, Marcia.
Yeah, I just have like a little bit more clarification. That seems like a lot of money per year, 110,000. Is this full-time? Is this,
It's hourly, but
okay,
the two that interviewed, be a part of this is Matt Farah and Angela. They can answer the questions. They are the ones that were in the hot seat when they interviewed the company.
Thank you, Commissioner Matt Farah, Public Works. Can you repeat the question?
yeah, what will they actually be doing? Are they gonna just make sure we're spending on the right things? And then the other part of it is, it just seems like 110,000 a year, seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's a time and material basis. Okay, we're just putting a cap out there of 330.
Okay,
We did take a look at what other communities are paying, and they're paying 1.5%, 2%. A lot of them are paying 2%.
oh, all right.
But the services we're looking for, first is to review our revenue loss calculation. There are several thousand lines of information. We cannot get this wrong. Okay, although I think Angie did get it right, it's got to be looked at. Then we will submit projects to them that of your choosing, and they will go through. They have a method to go through to make sure it's compliant with the ARPA Act, and then they will assist with the quarterly reports. Angie was better at this than I. As far as the money goes, we got very competitive on that.
I know some of the, like Muskegon, City of Muskegon has already decided on their funds, and I think some others have as well. Are we holding up for this before we make our decisions? Is that the theory?
Well, the commission has authorized a few projects, at the jail, and you're considering some fairly big projects upstairs, and of course we will give those projects to them, on day one. So you probably see a little spike in the billing at first, but I'm not so sure we're going to use them all the time. I don't think we don't need them full time. They don't need to do construction pay estimates. They don't need to do review all that stuff. We do that here in house. So
Okay, all right.
we did get we felt that we got a good price relative to what other communities do.
Yeah, all right, thank you. No, that's helpful.
This says over the course of the ARPA program, what is that course? A year, 2 years, 10 years?
It's 3 years plus the extension of 2 once the contract is in place. So
3
up to
years
5
plus
years.
3.
2.
Angela Gashevsky, finance director. It goes through 2026, December 31st.
Okay, and I've got a number here of not to exceed 300,000. What does that mean over 5 years? Is that what that means?
Correct.
Okay. And you don't know what hourly rate that they're billing us at, does anybody?
We do have some estimates with them. We are going to try to negotiate that price down a little bit, but that is how we came up with the not to exceed number.
Hey, or Matt or Angie, whoever can answer that. I believe there are other surrounding counties using the same firm. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, yeah, Kent County and I believe Ottawa County is also using.
Wayne County, just
Wayne County.
coincidentally, these is the same firm that presented at the MAC annual conference at the commissioners room.
I have a question. too.
Yes.
Yeah, I think maybe I didn't read it the way that Marcia did, because it said to me, cost not to exceed 1% of the award, $330,000. So in my mind, I said $330,000 was the award amount, but now you're saying that that's actually what we're going to pay them each year or
No,
one time.
over the 5-year period, that's the maximum.
Yeah, I had a number of years.
I said, yeah, because I was looking at it totally different, so I just wanted to make sure that.
The grant, I recall, was 33 million.
Anybody else?
I have one other question. What were the other bids?
The attachment was handed out. It should be at your table.
But there's no information.
I handed the bid summary out.
Is that what this is?
This one right here. You see it?
Where is that?
Well, is that-
Oh, yeah, okay, this one.
And who was the company that we decided on?
Guidehouse.
Guidehouse.
Okay. And which one are we asking to take?
Guidehouse.
Guidehouse.
Charles? So you didn't have any reservations about working from this company from Virginia versus someone in Michigan?
No, we actually interviewed 3 companies on that list. We shortlisted 3 companies. This one was our favorite. They had a really defined program for how they would handle this.
And also MAC has recommended 3 companies. This is one of the 3.
This is one of the MAC companies.
Plus, I mean, we've discussed this, but I take some comfort in the fact that both Ottawa and Ken have vetted the company and we're satisfied with them awarding the contract. It's not like we're out by ourselves with this.
I have one more question. Bob.
Yes.
Did this go through procurement? Is that how we got these?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where we got these, okay.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so I'm just curious what guidelines and basis you used. And it's not your fault because it's not like any of them are experienced in this.
That's a good point.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So like, what was the guidelines and basis of determining who we were gonna use? Because like, there's no experience for any of them in ARPA funds. So I'm just curious, like, what was our guidelines in determining who we chose?
We went through the process and graded them based on the work that they had done in the past. They did a lot of a lot of the companies we looked at had done a lot of federal grants in the past, and they have a lot of experience in that. Do you have anything you want to add?
They do in fact have CARES Act and ARPA experience. I think they had the most of the 12 we looked at initially.
Which is how long exactly?
Pardon me?
Which is how long?
Well, not very long. because
Right.
Both acts are fairly.
As I said, no fault of anyone else's, but yeah, so thank you.
They had a lot of, I mean, the criteria that Angie and procurement put out was very extensive.
So has there been any penalties so far from anyone spending these funds? I mean,
There
like, that's
hasn't.
kind of why we're put into this position, right? Because we've
Yeah.
accepted these funds and then we need to protect that we're not gonna be penalized and do anything wrong. So has there been any cases of any penalization so forth?
I'm not aware of ARPA, but on the CARES Act, yes, there are some
Okay.
prosecutions I've heard of in Florida.
Okay, and,
I don't know the facts of the cases.
okay, thank you.
We don't want to make the paper in that way, so it's,
Well, of course.
as you stated.
I was just wondering if this guidehouse has, yeah, anyway, thank you.
They do have good experience.
Charles? I guess that's a question. Since you two interviewed, what was the difference, in your opinion, that made the difference between Baker Tilly and Guidehouse? Because they're pretty close, they're pretty high, but what was it that set them apart for you?
So what we do is we got I think it was 12 or 14 proposals, and 3 people looked at them independently. We didn't talk to one another. They just reviewed them. And all 3 of us, I believe, that we discovered that Guidehouse had the most experience, most qualified staff. They had done this, all over the country. Although they were chosen by MAC and these other communities, that didn't play into our review at all. It's just their experience and expertise in these areas we felt was by far superior.
Okay, roll call, please.
Vice Chair Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
No,
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hubby Wright,
Yes.
Chair Skolnick,
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no.
All right, before I give up the mic, I have 4 informational items for you might be find interesting. You recall the properties that we gave, that worked with Dalton Township on, those little 50 by 50. They're working on that and doing a lot of progress, and we sold roughly 16 lots, and of that, we've received $31,000 from them. If you recall, that's split cost minus their expenses. So that project's going well. GMed sent out their report to look at that. They send that out monthly. What's interesting on this report is there's 14 projects in Muskegon County that they're working on, which equates to 714 jobs. And if they were all to go forward, it's $522 million going into our community. obviously one of those is like 300 million. So that they're working hard on that. And they're also working hard on the broadband. They have three major cable companies working with them to figure out what sources in the area of Muskegon County are not receiving any type of internet service, and they're focusing on that. So that's moving forward as well. The executive
Mark,
assistant.
can I comment
Yes.
to that broadband? So at the MAC conference, there, what's the name of that power company? North. They have power transmission lines that go through the eastern part of the county. They are, maybe you can touch base with them a little bit. I think it's northern or northwest. They don't really supply a lot of power to the county. It goes up to Traverse City, I think, but they're providing fiber internet to people looking for counties to partner with. I'll try to get you the name of that. Just a transmission line that it doesn't necessarily provide much power to the county. It just goes up to the northern part of the state.
That'd be good. Yeah, no decisions have been made yet. They're still gathering data on that and hope to tie into the resources from the state and federal.
Sure. And this has been some time ago, but when I went to NACO the last time, they had a company that was doing the satellite services for those in the rural areas. And that's what they were saying. It was great for rural areas to try to work something out. It was very interesting, but we never really made that contact, but I know that's, and then we talked about doing that with these ARP funds too. So I'm hoping we don't lose focus on making sure that we still continue to look at ways to expand that. So I think that's going to greatly impact continued growth in the rural area as far as, people transitioning to other parts of Michigan.
We were looking at internally working on that, and then I found out Windsor Dick was working on it, and Scenery First is working on it. So we all got together and our resources together. So we're getting some good information out of that process. As you well know, we're looking for an executive assistant. We had 17 applications. 2 of them made it through our process, HR's process actually. And so we'll be doing interviews on 2 later this week. And finally, March 1st, there's a board work session, JTC. We'll be meeting at the JTC building. That's been on schedule for a good 6 months. And the Health West board work session on Human Authority, that's scheduled for March 3rd. That works for corporate council. We'll try to put that in there as well because we need to keep that moving. As a board direction.
Are those Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Tuesday, Thursday, yes, sir. That is my report.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. For those who, I think most people here know county acronyms, but JTC is Juvenile Transition Center. Also, since you were talking about cable, I sort of, I think that our cable bills are ridiculous. As long as you're doing something about that, they do something about our cable. It's the same.
No, Bob, you do not get a raise.
I could buy a car for what I'm paying.
So you got the wrong company then.
Agreed.
All right, so next is public comment. Now, Arlene DeBoon.
Time.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Correct.
My name is Darlene DeHudy. Give me my address.
Just, I know you live in Norton Shores.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Northern Biomedical Research Facility's proposal for a new Muskegon facility affects everyone. Everyone wants medical advances for better health. The thing is, in the industry, 92% is an error rate with animal testing when it's applied to humans. So what people think is going to work with all these animals they're sacrificing doesn't 92% of the time.
The area's health threat from biohazards of exotic, known, unknown, created, and virulent diseases, animals, chemicals, waste disposal with transmission by aerosols, water, sewer, and land transmission. That's a huge concern for everybody. And as we know with COVID, it knows no governmental boundaries. So this really affects everybody. Of course, there's a cruelty to animals, which is punishable by up to 4 years, and it's in prison if it isn't, you know, a scientific experiment. There is animal-free advanced testing methods available, which are faster, more economic, and more reliable. The EPA is implementing a strategic plan to eliminate the use of vertebrate animals in chemical testing by 2035. So because it's highly expensive, time-consuming, and it's cruel, it's being eliminated. But when you have a private industry like biomedical, Northern Biomedical, they're going to take whatever contract they get, and they'll get paid regardless. So another point is, this is not much time. Hazardous companies often locate in poverty areas with citizens unaware, violating environmental justice or the citizens' right to live in a healthy environment. It has been found that more than half of all the people in the United States who live within 1.86 miles of a hazardous waste facility are people of color. This is just absolutely not good for this community. I will email you the substantiated quotes. These are not my opinions.
Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Ann Vanderbilt.
Okay, Ann Vandermolen, and I deal with anxiety, so I don't know if I can do this within 2 minutes. I hope I can. I want to tell you a story. I think Muskegon needs to do a lot better for our children. I think we need a march against child abuse, pedophilia, and bullying. When in the fall of 2000, I did part of my student teaching at Muskegon High School under Isabel Blake Evans. One day I noticed a student wasn't feeling well. She asked to use the restroom. I kneeled over her and said, of course. I was concerned. The next day, when I walked in the building, a teacher came up to me and told me that there had been a dead baby found in the bathroom. As the day wore on, I had a funny feeling. I told Isabel Blake Evans that I thought the baby might have been our student's child, the student that I let go to use the restroom the day before. But we didn't even know she was pregnant. It turned out that the baby did in fact belong to our student. I went to where they had the private funeral and waited outside the building. When she came out and saw me, she gave me a big hug. It was in the Chronicle that her stepdad had been raping her. She had already had one child from this man who was raising that child. They caught him and he went to prison. I hope she's doing okay today, and I'm happy to have probably helped her abuse come to an end. So for the kids like my student and countless children who are raped, abused, and bullied every day, Muskegon must do better for our children. I say we have a march for these children who are alive, not just a march for right to life, but a march for our children here who are bullied, raped, like this student of mine, and abused.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
That's okay, I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you for saying that. I know it was hard. Next is Mr. Ryan Bennett.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you, Chairman Skolnick. My name is Ryan Bennett. I live at 1538 White Pine Court, Twin Lake, Michigan. I am here today as part of my job as business manager of the West Michigan Plumbers and Fitters Union. Proud to announce a program that we're bringing to Muskegon. We're partnering with the City of Muskegon and working closely with the City of Muskegon Heights for a program called Access for All. It's a pre-apprenticeship program focused on recruiting from urban areas. We've teamed up with the Workforce Development Institute and the Michigan AFL-CIO to offer a 9-week accelerated training program to help give people of these urban areas a leg up when applying for building trades apprenticeship programs. We've noticed that we're struggling when we go out for application for apprenticeship in these urban areas. So this program is aimed to help alleviate some of that and provide, if nothing else, career exploration for some of these communities, whereas they may have not be familiar with what a journeyman pipe fitter or a plumber or an electrician or a bricklayer or a boilermaker, what those careers look like. So it's a 9-week program. There's no cost to the participants. There's a whole bunch of wraparound services to help get these folks up to the qualifications to hopefully turn them into productive building trades apprenticeship programs or apprentices. So I've brought some flyers and I will leave those over there on the table. And I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Anybody? No? And that's all I have for public comment then. We'll move on to the board unfinished business. Anyone with unfinished business? Any new business? Final board comments. We need to go into, I'll need a motion to go, well, why don't we take it? We take a break or just keep going?
Take a break.
Take a break.
Yeah, just a short.
Okay, take a 5-minute break, then we're gonna go into closed session, so everyone